Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Five Door Media podcast. And welcome to season 5, where we are talking all things money and finances in the cleaning industry. From cash flow to profitability, pricing to payroll, we are pulling back the curtain on the numbers that really drive a healthy cleaning business. Today's guest is one of the most respected voices in the residential cleaning industry when it comes to business strategy and financial health. Liz Trotter is a longtime entrepreneur, trainer, and mentor to cleaning business owners across the country. She built and scaled her own residential cleaning business, then on to start Core Profit Builders and other coaching platforms to help owners get out of the weeds and build profitable, sustainable companies. Liz is known for her no nonsense approach to leadership, accountability, and systems, and at the heart of all of it is helping owners get real about their numbers. In this episode, we're diving into the financial habits that separate successful cleaning companies from struggling ones, how to build accountability around your money, and why financial clarity is often the first step to freedom as an owner. Liz, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Drew. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to be
So
here.
happy to have you here. It is season 5. I'm embarrassed to say this is your first time on the show. We should have had you on a long time ago. Hey, but we did it. You're here.
I'm
Happy to have you.
excited. Season
Awesome.
5, season 10. I'm excited.
Yes, yeah, season 5. We're powering through. So let's set the scene, as I like to say on this show. Let's talk about why cleaning business owners struggle with money. You've coached cleaning companies for years. What is the number one financial challenge or fear that you see most owners face?
Gosh, it's so much fear, right? Um, I think probably the number one fear is, gosh, this sounds so terrible. I'm not smart enough.
Mm,
They start getting in their own heads. I'm not smart enough. I'm not as smart as that person or that other person. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing it wrong. Um, I have a lot of people, believe it or not, that can't even answer any of their financial questions when they come to work with me.
mm,
And there are quite a few companies out there. It's sad, right? That when they come to me, they if they can tell me what their profit margin is, their net profit margin, they rarely are right. And that's if they can tell me. Most of the time, they can't even tell me what it is. And
So
that's
so
net
far on
profit.
this, sure, yeah. So far on the season, we've talked about this industry is very common. The business owners in this industry, they did not start as a business owner. They
Yeah.
started as a person who was trying to make some money cleaning homes, right?
Yeah.
And like we've talked a lot about how that shift from cleaner to business owner has been really hard for a lot of people. And I think what you're talking about too is just confidence in themselves
Yeah.
and confidence in their education around money,
Yeah.
to where there's a lot of self-doubt going on. Where do you think that comes from? Is that
Exactly.
like what I was talking
Yeah.
about? Where it was like they didn't no one was trained in this, right? This
Yeah.
was something that just fell into their lap. Am I right with that?
You're 100% right. Also, one other little tweak that can cause a lot of the people in this industry issues is because this business cash flows so well, right? You get money every single day coming in,
Mm,
something you got money, clean money. For a long time, it seems like you know what you're doing. You feel like, a lot of people
mm,
are like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm rolling in the dough. I've got so much cash," until you start hiring some people. And then all of a sudden, you don't understand where'd the money go? Like, what's happening? And then you hire more people and there's even less money, but they're making
mm.
you money. So where's the money? So the cash flow in this business kind of jerks people around too. It's
Makes sense.
confusing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of leaning into my next question, you're talking about like they think it's great until it's not, right? And a lot of times we go from great to not great very quickly,
So fast.
whether that's that first hire or that second hire or something like that. Like overnight, we think we're rolling. And then the next night we're like, wait a minute, where did it all go? And what I see a lot, and not just the cleaning industry, this is home service abroad,
Yeah,
this is business and broad. People wait way too long to seek help for financial issues
yeah,
or financial questions or education.
yeah,
They wait way too long. Why do you think that is? Why do people wait? Because I feel like the cleaning industry as a whole, and I've said this 100 times, I'll say it 1,000 times more, has more of a tight knit community than any other industry I've ever been a part of.
yeah.
It's wild across this country how close cleaning business owners can
Oh
get.
my gosh, so
And they ask each other everything. They ask each other
yeah,
about products. They ask each other about hiring and recruiting and staff. But the money question really is not brought up near as much.
yeah.
And I feel like people just wait and wait until probably it's too late sometimes. Why do you think that is? Why is money such a hard topic to talk about for some people?
All right, well, I'll argue with the too late thing because there's almost always, it's very rarely that you can't pull out of it. Not that it's gonna be easy, but
Sure.
you almost always can pull out of it. All right, it's embarrassing. That's bottom line is, it sounds like because nobody talks about it, right? So it looks like and you hear things like and you see that everybody's so successful. Go on, look at all the people, right? Got all these $1,000,000 companies and we know that when people are bringing in $1,000,000 in revenue, it doesn't mean they're a
Sure.
millionaire or right? But some somehow we get this idea, "Oh, it's a $1,000,000 company. They're rolling in the dough." Can't tell you how many $1,000,000 companies are out there that are struggling to make payroll still, right? Still struggling and nervous,
Yeah.
nervous. If there's 3 payroll months on a biweekly schedule, that's nerve-wracking for a lot of those $1,000,000 companies that people are thinking are just rolling in it. And if you think that everybody else is successful and you're not, you can't afford to do anything, it's embarrassing. What am I doing wrong? Why
Yeah.
why me?
There's that old phrase, revenue is for vanity, profits for sanity,
Yeah,
right? And I feel like that's what you're talking about.
yeah,
And, it's you're so right. And we also just live in a social media world where rarely do people get on the internet to explain or tell stories of when things are hard, but we love jumping to the internet
yeah,
and explaining when stories are when things are great. So you're so right. I mean, you might see talk about that community that the residential cleaning business owners have.
yeah,
It's a lot of great, right? We're hearing a lot of things,
so
people that
much.
have killed it, but you're right. We don't, and this is just a life lesson in general. We never really know what's going on in someone's actual life,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Just due to the internet, we never really know what's reality. I mean, we've labeled this thing called reality TV, and it's the farthest thing from reality,
Yeah.
right? So like we never really know. And you're right. I
We
think
know.
there is a touch of more extreme with money and financial talks that like lead to more shame than asking somebody like, "Hey, what are you guys using for window cleaner right now?"
Yeah.
Or "What's your best way to get this out of a couch?" Or questions like that. There's a level of shame that exists with funny money talk and financial talk that doesn't exist with other ones.
It's true. This is a really funny thing. You'll start noticing it now that I'm going to point this out. So the people that are really struggling, they don't talk about any struggles. They talk about everything that's going great and all the good stuff. It's like they're
Yeah.
trying to shore themselves up. The people that everything is going really well, they're telling you all their struggles because it
Mm.
the struggles aren't hurting them anymore. These struggles that they're talking about, they're maybe in the past or they've lived through them and it feels comfortable to talk about them because I'm not ashamed of them. I know that, oh my god, you want me to tell you about the time I bounced a paycheck to my number 1 employee? But
Mm.
it's far enough in the past that it's not making me feel like I'm gonna cry or throw up, right? But if you're
Yeah.
still in it, it's like, "Ah." So when you're not hearing any issues at all, the world is perfect and fine, chances are
Red
good
flag. Yeah.
not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I love having you on this show today, just from your perspective. You talk to cleaning business owners literally all day, every day.
Every day.
Um, from your perspective, what daily or weekly or just habits in general are you
Mhm.
seeing that separate the profitable cleaning companies from the ones that are constantly stressed about cash? Are there certain things you see people doing that are growing and scaling in a healthy way compared to ones that aren't?
Yep, sure are. And there are things that everybody already knows. You already know to do these things, and you just, for
Just don't
whatever
do it.
reason, you're afraid of them. They just seems too hard. So here are some basics. They know their numbers, right? They know the basic, the the core KPIs of their industry, right? And so in the cleaning world, there are like 12 basic numbers that you just have to know. And if you don't know those numbers, you're going to be fixed. I was just on a call before I got on here with a woman who is, I think she's doing 1.8 this year. And she's like, I am sick of this. Right? Most people don't think that you're talking to somebody that's doing 1.8 that's thinking that she's just sick of this. I'm like, "All right, tell me what you're sick of." She's like, "I'm sick of always working on the wrong thing, and it's taking me so long to get anywhere because I'm just whatever pops up, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on, instead of looking at my numbers, recognizing where's the biggest problem that's holding me back and working on that number." We don't wanna work on that number. We wanna work on what we wanna work on, right? If
Yeah.
you really like sales, guess what you're gonna focus in on? You're gonna focus in on sales. If you really like working with people, you're gonna put your time into your client retention or your employee retention. You're not gonna work on the things that need to be worked on. So, that's
Numbers don't lie, right? So I
the
mean,
biggest thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
they don't lie, and they will expose that thing that needs work, but it's still on us to, like, choose our hard
just
in that
do
moment to
it.
fix what needs fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed too is when people are coming into our program, I ask them a couple of just quick number questions. What's your direct payroll percent of revenue, your direct PPR? If they know that number, I'm like, okay, great. What's your revenue for the month? Average revenue for the month. This month, last month, I don't care. Give me your average revenue. If they know that number, awesome. I love that. I'm so excited. And what's your client attrition? And if they can give me those three numbers, then I tell them, okay, you only need to track your numbers weekly. Right? If
Mhm.
they can't give me those 3 numbers, all 3 of them, they need to check their numbers daily until they understand those numbers, because those numbers just they're so basic, right? And I didn't even ask them about net profit because if they
Yeah.
don't know those numbers, and I didn't ask them about gross profit either, because if they don't know those numbers, they're not they're not going to know the deeper numbers. They're gonna guess. Right? That they don't know how to guess at those numbers as well. So,
100%. Do you have a certain story, and you don't have to name names or anything
yeah,
like that, but, like, you do talk to so many
so many.
cleaning business owners. Do you have a certain story where really finding out those numbers was, like, the missing thing for them, where they were like, once they figured that out, dear me, it was off to the races?
I feel like I have a lot of those. I can
Yeah.
think of one woman off the top of my head right now, and she was spinning, spinning, spinning. Really smart businesswoman, busy. Like, and
Mm,
not just busy like whirlwind busy, but she really was busy trying to change this and trying to change that. And she'd put this new thing in place. And she would sorry, my cat here. And she would, she was on top of everything. AI comes out. She's like, all right, she's got a custom chat GPT. She's on top of everything.
mhm,
And 2 years later, she hasn't grown at all.
mm.
And the problem there was just wanting to do all of the cool things that you hear about and come along, but that is not that's not wasn't her problem. I'm like, "Bottom line for you is you just need to hire more people and keep them working for you, period." I'm hiring all these people. Okay, let's look at the beginning of the year. You had 4 employees. Here we are, this was a while back, but here we are, November, and how many employees do you have? 4. So
Mm.
So which part are you not doing? Are you not hiring or are you not retaining? I don't care. You choose.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not doing both. I don't know. But you can't clean more houses if you don't have more people. So for you, you just gotta get more people. And then when she was like, finally understood that there are other pieces that come along with that, right? So you get the
Mhm.
number, but then you still have this broken mindset that kept you in this place. And her bit of broken, not broken mindset was everybody knows, Liz, that everybody knows you have to get the right person in the right seat. And like, I can't find the right people. I had to fire this person for this and this person for that and this person for this. And like, you are too small for that mindset. I'm sorry.
Mm.
But you are too small for that. Right now, you need to find people, your small little business. You need to find people that are not going to steal, that are going to show up on time. They're going to come to work. If they're 5 minutes late, I'm sorry, you can't fire them. I'm sorry, not today.
Yeah.
Right? There's a time will come where you'll be able to, and you won't have to when that time comes. But right now, no, you have got to get some people and grow them into that nice core team. So,
You need to clean some houses.
yeah,
Yeah.
clean some houses.
Yeah.
Bottom line, nothing's happening until you get some houses clean over there.
Sure.
So once she finally was like, "Okay, so I just hire people?" Yes, you just hire people, and you keep them until you have 2 people, and now you can hire a new one. Now that you have 2, and you can maybe get rid of one of those, but you still are up 2, right?
Yeah.
Instead of maybe up 3, but you have to get on top of that. So,
Yeah.
once she did though, then she was like gangbusters after that. She's like,
I
"Okay."
love that.
And then she finally understood what other people were talking about. It's like, "I'm overstaffed." Yes.
Mm.
High five to you being overstaffed. That's a win. Good. Right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and actually I have a ton of stories like that with people, different numbers, right?
Sure.
Different yeah, like, I'm thinking of a guy right now that he was convinced that the amount of money that he was bringing in per employee, per day was high enough. And I didn't think it was. He's like, "You don't understand, Liz. Where I live, this is all I can charge." I said, "Nah, you don't understand. Where you live, people will pay more." He's like, "No, they won't." "Yes, they will." And, like, you they won't as long as you keep thinking that they won't. They never will,
Mm.
right? So, I deal with a lot of mindset issues around numbers. People see the number, but even once they finally get the real number and they're like, "Okay," they still feel powerless a lot of times with that number because they have this broken mindset around some of these numbers, and they believe the story they've been telling themselves. There are a lot of better stories.
I love that you brought up mindset, because other episodes this season, that's been brought up a lot too. And I have a theory in general that
Mm,
a high majority of issues that business owners struggle with all have the origin of a scarcity mindset. And I think scarcity mindset is very real when it comes to financials, things like that. I think we hold on to things we shouldn't
yep,
because we're afraid of money not being replaced,
yep.
or stories like that. Where do you see that? What do you see with like a scarcity mindset being an issue for cleaning business owners in this conversation of like financials and growing and scaling?
Okay.
Pricing is a part of that. I think that and that's what triggered me to ask that follow-up. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
not on my notes. This is where the conversation gets good because it's all about the follow-ups. But, like, with that story you were telling, like, that is a classic case of scarcity mindset, right? If
yeah.
I raise my prices, everybody's gonna quit, I've got no
I
customers,
can't.
right? It's all scarcity
Yeah.
mindset of not having an abundance mindset. We're scared of what little we have. How does that play a role into finances?
Well, everywhere, because when people are afraid that they're not going to have enough, there's not enough to go around, they're hoarding it. They're hoarding every single thing, and that you're the more you hold on, the more you can't grow. Grow is about
Yeah.
letting go and, doing more. You How are you gonna market if you're convinced that if you spend any money, you won't have enough to whatever. Everything revolves around that idea of, the scarcity mindset. There are a lot of, like, mindset issues. The scarcity mindset, there's this fear that they have to overcome.
Mm.
There are these I really strong really strong mindset with so many people that the market will only bear this amount, period. And they just can't can't get out of that.
Yeah.
Even when I point to, like, a competitor that's charging more, they'll have a reason why, "Yeah, that's not true. That's just what they say." There's something. We call them big old butts
All
around here.
excuses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a big old
Yeah.
butt going on over there. You need to get rid of that. Diet time. Get rid of that butt.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
So you're really big on systems and accountability, which is one of
Mhm.
the things I love about you. But how do you help an owner hold themselves, but also their team? Let's say we've grown a little bit. We have a leadership team. We have revenue goals, profit goals, things like that. How do you help an owner hold themselves and their team accountable when it comes to financial discipline? What processes or rituals need to take place to make sure that accountability is put in place so all goals get hit?
Oof, that's a kind of a big question. I would say that one of the one of the sort of foundational things is that everybody gets together and just is transparent about the numbers. What everybody's talking with everybody else about these numbers, good and bad, as if they are all the same. Like, there are no good numbers and bad numbers. They're just data, right? All of the numbers are numbers that we have to accept in the same way. I think until people get that idea, they're gonna struggle because 'cause they're gonna hold back on the negative numbers, and they don't wanna say, and they'll find ways not to report the bad stuff. They'll
Mm.
and without recognizing it, I see a lot of business owners letting people off the hook with this idea. They'll say things like, "Yeah, okay, it was a bad week. I know my numbers are down." Haven't actually said what the number is yet, right? My numbers are down, but it's because blank, blank, blank. And
Big
then,
butts.
yeah, yep, big old butt. It's this, and but I'm on it. Now, they haven't actually said a thing yet, not a
Mm.
thing. And people are like, "Okay, so you got it handled?" "Yeah, I do." "All right, excellent." And they'll move on. So, the reason why I'm big on accountability is because my idea of accountability is not, I'm I'm holding you accountable and you're gonna be beat and whipped, is you're just going to want to talk about this information and want to move forward and want to get more from people. The people that are the most accountable are asking a lot of questions. They're
Mm.
not they don't have any big old butts. They're asking a lot of questions. They're saying things like, "Oh, all right, y'all, I was supposed to hit 45 leads this week. I've got 23. I have no idea what the problem is. Who's got an idea? Who can throw something at me? What can I do? Anybody have an idea of what I could
Yeah.
do next week?" Right? They're asking. So, one of the big shifts that I see needs to happen is that people need to just get good with the analysis of numbers versus the reporting of numbers. I talk about this a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those some people would hear the same thing, right? How are
They
those
do.
things different? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I see this constantly. Well, we call them PMX meetings, profit maximizer meetings. We have our PMX meeting every week, Liz, and everybody's talking about what they're doing, and they have their plans, and they tell us what they're doing every single week. Great. Let's look into that. Let's tell me what they said when they said that number was bad. What did they exactly say? They said they're on top of it. Great. And what are they doing? Well, they're handling it. In what way? What are their actions? What are the activities that they're going to do? Well, I don't I don't wanna micromanage. Oh, yeah, of course. Why would you micromanage? So let's just have him tell us what he's gonna do, and then we can just say, "Oh, okay, that sounds great." But don't you need to at least hear it so we all know that we're on the same page? Well, that seems like
Actually,
micromanaging.
not micromanaging, but macro managing on the other
Oh,
end, right?
that's
You're the other
good.
side of that.
Writing that down. Yeah, that's
There
good.
you go.
Yeah,
There's
write
my
that
lizard
down.
for the day. There you
That's
go.
good, I'm loving it. Alright,
Yeah.
good. So really, just getting everybody on so a couple of things. One is first that, right? We've gotta be analyzing our numbers, not reporting. Reporting numbers does not. The second thing is, does everybody have their own numbers that they know that they are not responsible for, but accountable for, and maybe responsible for too? I don't know. Up to you
Hmm.
whether you have people being responsible and
What's the
accountable.
difference between those two things, being responsible and accountable?
Yeah.
How are those
Well,
different?
yeah, this is a good question, right? So right
Yeah.
out of the gate, people need to understand what's the difference between being responsible for and being accountable for. So being accountable for something means it's your job to make sure it gets done, right? You're the one that it's going to fall back on if it doesn't get done. The responsible person has to get it done. They're the person doing
Mm,
the thing, right? And sometimes they're the same person, especially in a small company. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
accountable for it and I'm also doing the work, right? But once you start to get a little bit of a leadership team, which was your example, then those are separate and that's where you start kind of dropping balls and we get
Mhm.
a little bit of confusion about who's accountable, who's responsible, and if you're responsible, can I ask you about it? And like, when am I micromanaging? And back to the same problem that we talked about before, a lot of these business owners started cleaning some houses because they wanted to make a little bit more money on the side and they didn't know they never learned how to manage anyone. They didn't know how to run
Yeah.
a company. So they're struggling to learn these how to manage people, especially at a higher level. Managing people who are going to lead is different than managing people who are going to be responsible for something that are gonna be out there cleaning some houses. It's
Makes
different
complete sense.
mindset.
Love that.
Yeah.
So I think we're talking about finances and growth was like we're talking about scaling, right? And I
Mhm.
think one of my favorite things I've heard about scaling is growth is chaos, scaling is controlled chaos, right? Because rarely is a business ever not a little bit of chaos. But
Yeah.
we do know that many owners, we want to grow, but I think they underestimate like the financial pressures of scaling. I think they think just more makes everything easier, which in the reality of things, that's not the case. What are some key financial red flags or checkpoints owners should watch for before they expand or even like while they're expanding? What are some things they should be looking out for?
So you have to watch for those core numbers that can tank you really, really fast. So you gotta watch that gross profit margin or COGS, direct pay any of these 3
Mm,
numbers, direct payroll, your COGS, your gross profit margin, any of those numbers is a good thing to be watching, but you gotta watch one of those. Ideally, you'd watch all 3, but you need to watch one of those. You need to as you're growing, you also need to be watching the net profit down at the bottom because people go upside down without even recognizing it, right? Especially
mm,
because this business can cash flow so well. So, you can be spending today, tomorrow's money, a month from now's money. You can be spending money that is not yours yet. We see people get into trouble with taxes because of this, right? They're spending money that is not theirs. So
mm,
that's a big thing. So you gotta watch that bottom line too, that net profit. And then you gotta really and I know you know this, you gotta watch the leads that are coming in. If you're not
mhm.
not paying attention to those leads that are coming in, there won't be any. Right? You have to keep your foot on that pedal, right? You just have got to keep marketing. It doesn't matter to me that you don't have enough employees to do the work today. Guess what? When you get more clients, you'll figure out a way to get more employees and vice
Sure.
versa. You got to keep
Yeah.
hiring. So those are my big things that you got to look at. Gross profit, net profit, getting leads in and getting employees in. Keeping all of those things going at the exact same time.
Yeah. Each one of those could derail
Yep,
any, like, healthy scaling or growing for sure.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I bet you could tell stories on this, but forever, but we don't have forever to talk today, but, like, talking about, like, we're living in the social media world where I feel like we've never been in a time where it's easier to be motivated by someone or motivated by a
Yeah.
story and to grow ambition, right? Due to those stories we hear. But how do you coach someone to balance ambition with financial responsibility? Where is the line of ambition to where, yes, I love what you're doing and the growth that you're wanting to put out for into the world. I love your big goals, but also let's do it responsibly. Like how do you coach somebody like that? Because I'm sure you've had people that have like all these big dreams and goals,
No,
right?
very few that
Oh,
actually get out over their skis. Very few,
interesting.
because the fear. Remember? Because most of these people came up from humble beginnings, and so they're always in this place of fear. Now, one person that I can think of, large company, 5 million or so. He was at an event of ours last year, and he said in front of, oh, you can tell he's doing well now because he said in front of a large group, man, I why didn't I listen to Liz when she told me to get a budget? Because I
Mm,
almost lost it all, because he didn't wanna have a budget until he was, I think, $3.5 million, and he almost lost the whole thing, right?
wow.
So, most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, the companies are smaller and they, until they get to a remember, all these companies are small too. Like,
Yeah.
the big residential companies, the huge residential companies are doing 10 million a year. That's a huge
Hmm.
company in this space. Most industries would consider that still a very small company.
Mm,
So, I work with, like, plumbers and electricians and roofers and the small money. So you can do a lot. Remember how I said earlier, I'm gonna argue with that they get so far in that they can't pull it out. Yeah.
hmm.
Most of these companies are small enough that don't worry, go in, go hard, do
Yeah.
it. Because if you get out too far over your skis, we can reel you back in. Don't worry.
We
Go
could roll it
hard.
back in.
Go hard.
Makes sense. Love that. We talked about this a little bit up top, but like money is easily an emotional thing for a lot of people. I think the crazy stat of like the high majority of divorces in America end due to money issues or like financial disagreements and things like that. Money can be very emotional, especially for small business owners, and the cleaning business world is not alone in that. But like, how do you help people shift from financial stress and shame to clarity and confidence? Like, and this is getting into that mindset thing maybe
Yeah.
you were talking about, more than it is about the mechanics of being a great CFO for your business. This might be more of just taking something that might be stressful and shameful to something that is clear and confident. How do you coach people with that?
So a couple of things that I like to do that work really well, but are really scary to contemplate, right? So the first thing is everybody shares their numbers openly with everyone else. So you see real numbers, other people's real numbers. That sounds horrible in the beginning, especially if you're the one that's like, I can't do that. I can't let other people see my numbers. But as soon as you get in the first time and see other people's numbers and go, wait a minute, but I thought they were, yeah, uh-huh, I know. But
Yeah.
this is the truth, this is the real, right? So the first thing we do is get everybody seeing everybody else's numbers so you can see no matter how bad you think your numbers are, you're not negative all 12 months last year. You weren't. There was 1 month that you were in the green. High five, let's talk about that. And those 11 months when you were in the red? Now we finally figured out, here you are. Now we know what that problem is. Now we have
Mm,
opportunity. Before, No opportunity until you know those numbers. So getting people really on board with, "Oh, look at that. We found it. Look at that crappy number right there." That's the win. Because looking
Mm.
for crappy numbers and turning them into wins helps to shift that mindset of, "Oh my gosh, so my direct labor was 59.9%. Yes. What does that tell us? Yes. And what do we
Mm.
do? We know how to fix that, right? We know how to fix that number. Now we just
Yeah.
gotta fix it because that's the problem right there. So, that I think those are the 2 big things we do is show everybody else's numbers. Come in first time, don't show your numbers. Look at everybody else's so that you can go, "Oh, okay." And then the second thing is make the bad numbers the good numbers.
For those people that feel like they are behind, and maybe this is also a mindset thing, but like literally maybe also might be behind in their books and they're not organized.
They
They
are.
are behind in their finances. Maybe they owe even like the IRS money, things like that.
Yep.
I love what you're saying, and I just maybe want to ask it in a different way too, but like where do they start? You know, I
Yeah.
mean, the Disney dad in me, I want to sing the song from Frozen, "You do the next right thing," right? And like that is kind of the advice to do. Like
Yeah.
you figure out one thing that you can do and move towards it. But how do you coach people to do that next right thing when they are feeling they're way behind? They're not where their business should be. Maybe they do have a bunch of debt. Maybe they did get over their skis, as you were saying.
Yep.
How do you coach them for that first next step? What does that look like?
So for us, it's a little bit different than other people. So the what we do is so now we know what the number is. Do you see where the problem number is? You do. We give them a list. Here is a list of like 25 different things. Of these 25 things, these are all proven. These all work. Which one do you think you can
Mm,
do quickest, easiest, fastest, best? Which one do you think you will do? Because a lot of times what we see is people saying, "Okay, I'm gonna do blank, blank, or blank." They never do. They can't make themselves do the thing. So, we give them a list of things that they can choose from so it doesn't feel like I'm being told what to do and I'm being forced to do this thing. I just wanna run my company my way, right? So,
mm,
instead of that, here you go. Here's a list. Choose which one. And if they pick something that's really gonna be like the lowest level thing in the list, all right, that will work, just so you know, but that's gonna take a long time. Do you have enough time?
mm,
Do you have enough runway to be able to take the amount of time it's gonna take to get the impact from that? Because there's other things on that list you get a faster impact. That is there anything on that list that you think you could make yourself do? Because my biggest problem really with people is getting them to do the things that they know they need to do.
mm,
They just don't wanna. They're like, "I don't" the guy I was telling you about with the big business, with, the $5 million business that didn't get a budget until he was 3.5 mil in. He's like, because he just saw a budget as, like, being constrained. "You don't tell me what to do."
it's a boundary.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
I'll do what I want. I do how I wanna run my business. Yeah, that's what
yeah.
it is. It's you deciding how you wanna run your business. Just
You're still making the budget. Yeah,
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 you're doing it in advance, right? And Megan likes, right? And
yeah.
she's, like, a big proponent of, "Yeah, that's how you get control over it, is you run your business your way, and this is how you start. Create this
Yeah.
really nice budget here." So
She'll be on an episode this season for sure. I think she's already scheduled, so Megan will be on
oh
this
my
season
gosh.
too.
Of course. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
amazing,
yeah.
and she makes everything so easy for people too.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Well, I've been asking everybody on this season. Here's your 60-second elevator speech. If you had 60 seconds to speak directly to a cleaning business owner who's working hard, but not seeing the same level of effort of money being put into the bank, what do you say? You got 60 seconds with them.
Working really hard. I would say stop doing what you're doing because that's not working and figure out what you actually need to be doing and start doing that. If you don't know what that is, then ask someone who does know. And don't be afraid, don't be ashamed, just ask. If you can't ask someone, you know who you can ask? Chat. You can ask ChatGPT,
Mm.
right? Punch all your information into ChatGPT. Just take a picture of your P&L, stick it into ChatGPT, and say, "How do I get more money at the end of the day?" Chat will give you a whole plan, and you can start there if you can't talk to anybody else. If you talk to a person, it's gonna be better for you, but if you can't, talk to Chat.
I love that. We've recorded 2 episodes so far this season, and both people have now mentioned start with ChatGPT because it's honestly, it's so brilliant because it's scary, because it's
Yeah,
fearful, because you're worried about being judged,
yeah,
because you're worried about, building up shame with whatever is being shown on that P&L. I mean, there are people listening to this that need to ask Chatty, "What is a P&L?" Right? Like,
yes,
there's so many starting with a robot is the gateway drug to talking to a human and to getting like real change,
yeah,
right? That's so funny
exactly.
that both of you have mentioned that so far, but it's so true,
So
and
true.
I said this the last episode as well. ChatGPT is not your CPA. Start with
Yeah,
Chatty, but
just
do never
start.
take like full financial advice and make long-term decisions off of what a robot is telling you. ChatGPT and AI LLM models are great. They are not the end all be all.
No,
Talk to an accountant. But like it is such a great first place to start for so many people that are scared of that judgment
absolutely.
from a human being or like scared to hear, oh, you screwed up, you owe the, you know what I mean? Like all the
Yeah,
worst case scenarios that could
yeah.
pop into our head, all the anxiety driven solutions or stories we want to tell ourselves. Start with that. Chat GPT is a great way to do it. And like you said, just take a photo, a screenshot of that P&L, upload it, and let it talk to you.
And if you are, because I did meet with somebody, not that long ago that was in a situation she hadn't put anything into QuickBooks. The only thing that was
Mm,
going into QuickBooks was just her revenue, and she was
yeah.
paying things, here and the other, that's fine too. Then I know you don't have a picture to put into ChatGPT, but you can tell ChatGPT, "Go to your bank," right? Take a picture of your register, put that picture
Yeah.
into ChatGPT and say, "This is what I'm doing, help."
Yeah.
And
Or
it'll
just
show
simply
you.
asking a question, where do I start?
Yeah.
Right?
Where do I start? Go
Talk to me like I'm a fifth grader trying to learn what a CFO should be doing.
Yes.
Right. And like let it walk you through what steps are next.
And
I
if
love
you
it.
think
Cool.
5th grade is too big for you, try kindergarten. It's fine too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this valuable conversation. I love to get to talk to you. And before we wrap, what is the best place for listeners to connect with you or learn more about what you're doing and the work you're doing?
Well, thanks for having me on first, Drew. It was fun. I liked being on here today. And let's see, best place is reach out to me directly. You can hit me up on Facebook, hit me up with a DM, easy. I think that's how you and I have talk all the time, or you
Yeah,
can,
quite a bit. Yeah.
yeah, DM. You can also send me an email, liz@coreprofitbuilders.com. I respond to all of my emails and I respond to all of my DMs. DMs fast. If you want to hear from me quickly, hit me up by DM. Fast.
Love that. Well, if you are watching this episode and you found it helpful, and like I mentioned before, this cleaning industry is so tight knit. I guarantee you know someone that could use the information we talked about in this episode. Share it with them, share it with a friend, share the love, share the information to someone who's ready to finally take control of their numbers inside their business. Because at the end of the day, we do know revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is king.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.